Hello. I I was listening to someone talk today and it inspired me to do a quick video about jealousy and envy, and how oftentimes those two emotions can really, well, they stem from a place of lack, but they can really lead us down a dark hole. Let's put it that way. So, and I'll talk a little bit about that after, but it was interesting to me as I actually was listening and then I looked them up and just really kind of wrapped my head around it. How I think sometimes we misuse the word jealous, because jealousy is actually the fear of losing something you already have to another person or rival, if you will. Whereas envy is basically desiring something that someone else has that you don't have, or at least perceive yourself not to have. Okay, but jealousy is like a three-party thing. Okay, and it could be three people. It could be a possession or a relationship that you already possess that you're jealous of losing to someone else. Or it could be two people, because there's always the someone else that you're afraid of losing it to, and an object or something that you own. If you, I don't know. It could play out in a lot of different ways. Obviously, the one that we mostly think about is relationship, right? If I'm in a relationship with someone and I'm jealous because I think someone can steal them away. I mean, these things happen. However, that's attachment, right? Because if the person can be stolen away, if you will, then they probably weren't meant for you anyway. And the whole idea of being jealous is actually a lack entity. It's a pick me or a chasing energy. I can tell you personally, for me, if I'm with someone who is that easily swayed or wants somebody else, I'd let them go in love. I would. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's who I am now. Wasn't always. Wasn't always. I think everybody alive has felt jealousy at one point in their life. Again, over either a person or a thing. Afraid of having something taken away. Sometimes that's even just power. If you haven't really pulled your power back and realized that people can't take from you necessarily, at least not on a emotional, or I'm not talking about things in this perspective. I'm talking about internal, right? People can't take from you what you aren't willing to give. Okay. Now, when it comes to things, yeah, people steal and rob and take all the time. But even then, sometimes it's freely given. I know I've given to help someone out and never gotten back, right? But attachment would hold on to that and be angry or whatever. There's still a process that goes through when you find you've been bamboozled, if you will, right? It's still forgiveness that needs to take place, but at the end of the day, if you're the one who gave it, whatever it may be, then you have to come to terms with that and find your peace through healing, acceptance, and whatnot. I think a lot of us also experience envy, and sometimes we call it jealousy, right? Like if we meet someone who maybe, if we're in competition mode, which is ego-based, or comparison, right? That's also ego-based. Then we might have envy over what they have, okay? That's a two-party system, because that's really just between you and someone else. So maybe you step into a profession and you're envious of how far along someone else is when you haven't paid your dues yet, or whatever. Everything's a little different. But that's an example of envy. Or maybe you're working towards buying a house and you envy your friend who just bought one, or you envy your friend who just got married and you really want to find a lifelong partner or something like that. At the end of the day, envy and jealousy really come from a lack mindset, okay? And that doesn't mean it's generalized to everything in your life. However, lack is that I don't have enough, or maybe I don't feel like I have enough to hold on to something or someone, right? And that's that chasing. And honestly, the law of attraction would say you're repelling it. You can look that up for yourself. This is one of the universal laws out there. In any case, excuse me, magnetism, stuff like that. But, or envy, saying you have something that I really want. Well, when we're in abundant mindset, okay, we might find that inspiring, right? Like, whoa, that must be really cool to be able to live that kind of lifestyle. Or that must be really cool to have attained that goal in your life, okay? Jealousy and envy would have us instead trying to find some lack in the other person, or something to focus on that makes us feel better about ourselves, because that's that competition ego mode, right? So I'll tear you down to my level so that I feel better about myself. Something like that. Which, on one hand, I can sit there and say is really petty, ridiculous, and sad. But on the other hand, as a human being and not being perfect myself, I can also understand where a lot of those base emotions come from. Which is why I find myself being able to forgive. Now, keep in mind, forgiveness does not equal allowing someone back in your life or something like that. If someone, unless the behavior is changed and the growth is evident, what's the point? It's only going to repeat itself, right? But we're all on our own path. Okay, so this video isn't to sit there and shame anyone if they're experiencing jealousy or envy in their life. I think we all do to some degree. However, when we can really step into the appreciation for what you have in your own life at any given time, and the recognition of your own strength to be able to add on to that if that's what you desire, okay? And that it's not a comparison between you and somebody else. And anyone that would make you feel that way also has work to do on themselves. Because we all have, and I say this over and over again, we all have our own strengths and our own challenges. And God knows we have plenty of both, quite truthfully. But usually those challenges, or oftentimes I should say, those challenges tend to overshadow our strengths in our minds. Okay, maybe not for other people, depending on what perspective they may have. But just something to keep in mind. So if you ever feel yourself being envious or jealous or anything like that, look in the mirror and give yourself a little more credit and a little more love, okay? Because happiness does not come external. And I know I say this a lot of people do, but it's true. Happiness comes through perspective. It comes through your belief and your gratitude. This is why oftentimes I always encourage people to do a gratitude list. Because the more you're grateful for in your life, the more you will find to be grateful for. And that builds happiness, right? So when you find yourself in a lack type of mentality, for whatever reason, maybe you get triggered, maybe you think, oh my God, maybe I'm fine and chill with all these other people, but with this one person, they trigger the heck out of me, whatever. There's all kinds of scenarios for all of us in life. But if you find yourself in that position, just see it for what it is. Recognize that this is lack. And do I really have anything, or maybe that's not the right. Recognize that it's lack. And then also take a moment to be grateful for all the things that you do have, right? So perfect example. Say you win $500 on a scratch off or something, right? You got $500. Oh, I'm really excited for a minute, right? And then I get a bill in the mail, or my car breaks down and I need to, and ironically, sometimes it will be for $500, right? And I don't know if it's a test per se, but, oftentimes people will say this is kind of the universe's way or God's way of testing you or seeing, are you truly grateful or are you more in lack? Because when you sit there and you say, I can never get ahead, right? Be mindful of what you're saying, because your body, your mind, your belief systems always believe what you say, okay? The only exception is here. So sometimes mindfully we recognize that we're just joking, or, well, I don't really mean that. But the more you say it, the more you will unconsciously, subconsciously believe it. Just saying, okay? And it becomes a filter in which we live our life through. So we may live in a lack mindset because we keep joking with ourselves about our situation or whatever. So if you find yourself in that case being like, oh, I can never get ahead, or why can't I ever catch a break, or da-da-da, whatever, those cliche sayings that we've all said in our life. I'm no exception. This is why I'm here talking to you, because these are things that I have worked on in my life. And I've seen with my own two eyes the changes in my life that have come from really digging deep into these things and working on them, okay? Pay attention to how you talk to yourself. It's not a joke and it's not a cliche. It makes a difference. Then there's the one, where maybe that's your first, the frustration, which anyone can validate. It's like, I thought I was ahead 500, now I'm even. But then let that gratitude come in. If that was maybe the universe was giving me the $500 to pay the bill that I didn't foresee, but it did, right? So in gratitude, the gratitude comes from, at least I'm even and I'm not behind, right? Does that make sense? So again, perspective. You can look at it from that perspective and feel happy and be like, wow, am I going to get a check every time I have a bill coming in? Right? And be open to receiving. Be open to it. But the more you sit in that lack, the less open you're going to be to receiving, and therefore sometimes we're our own blockage to flow. Okay? I just did a video on dancing for flow. But flow is basically, if you're, I saw this, I think it was a meme, and it was really inspirational to me, inspiring. But it was talking about being like a stream or a river, right? If you're the water and you come across a giant boulder, are you going to stop? Is it a dam? Or are you going to flow around it or over it? Be like the river, flow, okay? But be mindful of the beliefs that you're feeding, because those are the things that actually have a bigger impact in the unseen than it does in what we consider reality. But it's all reality. And it makes a difference between being happy or frustrated or sad, or again, either being in lack or being abundant. In my life, I've been pretty poor at different times. I've robbed Peter to pay Paul. I worked 6 jobs at one time while trying to put myself through school. But I was always grateful. I had a car that was so unreliable. I used to have to put a quart of oil in it I don't know if it got up to every day, because that car really shouldn't have been on the road. It was a long time ago. It was back in the 90s. And, but I was so grateful that I had it, because it was a roof to sleep in if I needed to. It got me to work where I could earn money. Perspective. What are you grateful for? You might not have $1 million in the bank, but do you have friends that you know you can count on? Do you have a roof over your head, even if it's not yours? And what I mean is maybe you're staying someplace or you're renting or something like that. However you want to put it. But be grateful for what you do have, because our gratitude and abundant mindset brings in more abundance. Okay? May not bring in the lottery at like 1.7 million. That would have been nice, huh? I think everyone was hoping for that. So congratulations to the people that did get it. I'm happy for them. Okay. For a second, I was envious. It's human, okay? But don't wallow in it, and don't build a tent there, right? If you recognize I'm being envious, how's that making me feel? Probably not good. So when you look at it from a place of emotion, and if it doesn't feel good or doesn't feel right, then switch up the thinking. Change your perspective. Well, no, I don't have 2.7 billion. 1.7. I don't know where the 2 came from. Sorry. But I have food in my fridge. I have a roof over my head that I own. I have a car that I can drive. Right? And I'm so appreciative of my car, honestly. It's the nicest car I've ever owned. Let me tell you something. I've never been spoiled in my life when it comes to things. So when I have something really nice, I appreciate the heck out of it. I still get giddy when I can pull up to like a Dunkin's and press a button and my window goes down. Because I think I was cranking all the way up through into my 40s. Definitely my 30s. I don't know. So be grateful for what you have. Even if it's not where you want to stop. It's okay to want more. But want it out of love. Right? Want it because it's better for you. And it's something that would make you more content in your life or happier or whatever, right? I mean, the happiness we're already at, but there are things that we can intentionally engage in that can bring happiness, like getting together with friends or traveling if that's what you love to do, right? It just increases that. But if your mindset isn't right, it doesn't matter where you travel to. Even if you love traveling, you can find fault in anything. Honestly. An example I always give, I remember going to Hawaii on my honeymoon when I got married. And we ended up going to a luau on Maui, and we got to see the cliff divers and the dancers. It was really cool. And the whole time we're smelling the pig roasting in the ground, and the food smelled amazing, and we were so hungry. And soon we got our plates, we did the whole line, we got our plates, put our plates on the table, and as soon as we did, the sky opened up and the food, I mean, we were all drenched. It was like there was no raindrops. Okay, it was just like and we were drenched. And I found I wanted to dance in the rain. I'm on Maui at a luau in Hawaii. I want to dance, right? I want to enjoy it, even though I'm getting rained on. It's cleansing, right? Perspective. We get on the bus, which took time for them to get it back to us. The bus still had the air conditioner on, so it was chilly on the bus because we're all soaked. And it was like an hour and a half back to the ship where we could eat. So I remember my husband was not so happy. And I was like, what's wrong? He's like, well, I'm cold, I'm wet, I'm hungry, right? Which I'm not judging him, I'm just saying. And I remember looking at him surprised and being like, but you're in Hawaii. You're in paradise with the woman you love. Right? I mean, in my mind, what else could we possibly want? But I get it. I get it. Because it was uncomfortable. And when we're uncomfortable, if we're hungry, we're tired, uncomfortable, we don't feel good, whatever, it pulls on our resources, our emotions to be able to show up, and we get triggered more easily. So things to keep in mind. Other conscious choices we can make to keep ourselves in balance is making sure we're eating, sleeping, taking care of ourselves so that we're not sick, right? But that's a whole nother story. In any case, that's just an example of perspective, right? I was happy. I was. I've been happy most of my life, even in times of abuse, okay? Because life is so much more than just one thing. Be mindful of what you focus on and how you look at it. And be mindful of when things come up for you and make you feel less than. That you're not feeding that, and that you're recognizing that you, whoever you are important. Or you wouldn't be here. Okay? So, this is a long one. But I hope you're all well, and I really felt heartfelt to be able to share that with you. It doesn't make you less than to have these emotions and have them come up for you. It just means that there's something there that you want to heal, you want to learn, you want to embrace. You're worth more than that. And everyone, I don't care what your lot in life is, everybody has something to be grateful for. Okay? That doesn't negate pain or loss or anything like that, because I know how hard that can feel too. We all do, for the most part. And the longer you've been alive, the more you can understand. But then there are some children in this world that have felt more profound loss than the average person. So it's really not about age, it's about experience, right? But my point was, is typically if you make it to a certain age, you've experienced loss. You've experienced grief, you've experienced heartache. The longer you live, the more the chances are that you've experienced those things. But it's not based on age. In any case, I wish you the best with your healing journey. And I'll talk to you soon. All right.